You will recall back in the Democratic primary, we covered extensively here how major news networks, MSNBC in particular, would just forget about Andrew Yang, leave him off of graphics, not mention him, get his name wrong, all sorts of insanity, and of course, did not highlight his campaign, which seemed weird given that he had a large following, really interesting ideas, and was really shaking up the whole conversation and debate. Well, now a former MSNBC producer, someone who I actually knew when I worked at MSNBC, Ariana Peccary, who has since left that network, is coming forward to shed more light on exactly how and why Andrew Yang was blacked down at MSNBC. She tweeted, "I just reviewed my journal on 4/25/2019, and she was a producer for Lawrence O'Donnell. I was told we were never to pursue Andrew for an interview on our show, along with several others. The list of candidates was dictated, but the reasons for allowing them or not were not explained."
Wow. Yeah, bombshell. I mean, and we all knew it, right? I remember when they would like stand in front of him on the graphics or like not even include him in the graphics. And we cover this all the time. And every time they're like, we're sorry, it was a mistake. It's not a mistake. And I remember we would cover here how the guy was polling and making drawing in more money than like Cory Booker. And Cory Booker was always treated as a much more serious candidate. And I was like, he has a bigger following than Cory Booker. He has a bigger following than Kamala Harris, who dropped out before him. Remember, she had to drop out before Iowa because she was going to lose not only in Iowa, but likely in her own home state of California. She was a disaster. She plummeted to 3% in the primary. And Yang at one point was out-polling her in California.
That's
and
right.
Once again, none of this is ever taken any seriously. No, the media completely dismissed it. And the way that they treated him in particular was egregious. I mean, second probably only to Tulsi Gabbard in the way that she was treated during that primary as well. And you can see that now that, you know, he's pro-Biden and all that, they're like, oh, it's all good. Like Andrew Yang is on CNN. But remember how they treated him at the time. It was terrible.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
And these people have the nerve to talk about election interference.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like, this is so manipulative. Because if you're a regular person, if you're an MSNBC viewer, you're counting on them to tell you, like, who's a real candidate, who's serious, what are they about? And especially someone like Andrew Yang, who was new to the American public, he was even more needful of being taken seriously by these networks, commensurate with the response that he was getting on the trail and this grassroots following ultimately that he had. So, yeah, I mean, they would always say, oh, it's nothing, we just made a mistake, etc. But you can see how there were actually intentional actions taken here against Andrew Yang. You can imagine Bernie Sanders, very similar treatment. Tulsi Gabbard, certainly. Others who they didn't consider, you know, to their liking, who were anti-establishment. And you compare that to, like, the treatment of Elizabeth Warren. So fawning.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris. So fawning, right? Even people who weren't in the primary, like Stacey Abrams, who gets the, you know, the celebrity political treatment, and they're amped up in the media and treated with kid gloves and put on a pedestal. Remember all the endless articles about, like, Elizabeth Warren's selfie lines and how incredible and groundbreaking this was? It's just ridiculous.
It weren't even real selfies. But don't even get me started.
Yeah, it wasn't even real selfies. But it just shows you how much they manipulated people into getting the result that they ultimately wanted, and it was successful.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a lot like a Trump 2016 lesson where they didn't take him seriously, they booked him all the time. So then, in a way, they almost realized their power in terms of free media and so much more. And they're like, oh, well, we got to make sure that we only elevate and do the ones that are the correct senators and others to interview. Deval Patrick, remember that rollout? I mean, it was huge. Like, every network in the country covered it. And the guy, he didn't even place in any of these places. It was embarrassing.
Literally no one wanted him.
It was basically a wealth transfer to K Street. And yet, like, that's how it happened.
Yeah, no, and on the Republican side, when they tried to stop Trump's rise, it didn't really work, number one, because he had such a large brand name and so much celebrity, but also because Republican-based voters had so much baked-in contempt for the media to start with.
Yeah.
Democratic side is different. You know, there turned out to be so much trust of mainstream media that basically when they said, nope, Joe Biden's the guy, you got to back Joe because of Donald Trump, and he's the only one who can beat Donald Trump. And now we see, of course, that he could, even with the pandemic and everything else, could barely squeak by a victory. Like, that was always an absurd thesis. But because there was still so much trust there, you know, ultimately they went along with the person that they were supposed to back.
Yeah, that's right.
Tomorrow on Rising, we're going to have Jennifer Holdsworth and Rachel Bovard on the panel, plus DC Bureau Chief of The Intercept, Ryan Grimm, is going to join us as well.
That's right. Remember to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our videos. Don't forget to like and share as well, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Everybody have a great day.